I am moving on to the Arnold lights. That is Arnold, lights, and I'm using this double line to pull things off. In the Arnold lights, the first light is the area light, which you should already be familiar with. The second light is the Skydome light. When I add a Skydome light to the scene, the first thing you'll see is that the entire scene is filled with light, and that's because the Skydome makes a great big sphere all around the scene, and that sphere casts light inwards, hence the name Skydome. Now, the Skydome is both great and terrible. It's a really nice way to fill your scene with general illumination, but as you can see from my render, it's not casting directional shadows. It's going to have a really hard time with light color because any color that I put in is just going to cast one color over the entire scene, like so. So Skydomes are wonderful, but they're really not meant to be used on their own. The big thing that people do with them is over in the light attributes, there is this color attribute. Under color, I'm going to click the black and white box to add another node to the Skydome. And the node I'm going to add is a file node. Yes, that's right, I'm going to be using an image file. The image file I'm going to be using, I will just click this button, and that goes straight to my set directory's source images folder, where I've already put this image in. The image type is an HDR, and an HDR is a high dynamic range. You hear them referred to as high dynamic range images or HDRIs. I'll just stick this in first. We'll talk about what it does, and then we'll talk about where I got this image. So it is loaded. I can see it in the background here, and immediately my scene fills with both light and color. And if I look at things like this little glass sphere that I put in here, you can also see that now I'm getting reflections from the image file that's attached to the HDRI, and those will be nice, accurate reflections because, of course, Arnold is a nice, accurate light simulator. So we'll get on in there and close up and see what we can see. Now, a high dynamic range file means that the image file itself is a 32-bit file, and that 32-bit data means that white points, like these pixels here, don't have a color value of 1. They have a color value that goes above 1, so they are physically casting illumination into the scene. Similarly, anything that looks black probably has a value somewhere below 0, which gives me the ability to create shadows, and all of these colors in the light become light data itself, which is really, really freaking neat. If I select the sphere, I can go back into the light settings, and you'll see that there are some things that I can adjust. I can adjust the exposure if I'm not getting enough light. In this case, I think that I am. I can tell it to cast shadows or not cast shadows. The other thing I can do is I can change this thing called format. The format by default is set to lat long, which is referring to the way that the image maps across the sphere. You'll see that I have mirror ball, angular, and lat long. Probably most of the things that you download from the internet, lat long is going to work for them properly. Instead of continuing to talk about the Skydome light, what I am going to do is pause this video, and I will talk about HDRIs in my next video. The important things for you to get out of this are that the Skydome light is going to provide general illumination for your scene, but it's really not designed to work on its own. It wants to have its color attribute mapped, and the thing that it should be mapped to is a file node called an HDRI.